Good evening. It's now 6:30 and I call the regular meeting of the Victoria City Council to order. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda this evening is announcements. We have several announcements this evening. First, there is a City Council workshop scheduled for Monday, April 28th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. The workshop will be held in the multipurpose room at the Victoria Recreation Center. The purpose of the workshop is for City Council to discuss its strategic plan, as well as the long-term vision for the Victoria Recreation Center. All meetings of the City Council, including workshops, are open to the public and held in council chambers unless otherwise noted. We encourage anyone wanting to attend our council meetings or workshops in person to contact our city clerk in advance. In other announcements, join us for Donuts in Victoria this Wednesday, April 16th at 9 a.m. This month's presentation will be an overview of the upcoming transportation projects presented by our city engineer. Donuts is held at the Victoria Recreation Center, and more details can be found on the city's website, victoriamn.gov. Also, make sure to stop by Victoria's downtown on May 3rd to celebrate spring with our local businesses and at our Victoria in Bloom event. Many of our businesses will have specials and activities throughout the day. Again, that is May 3rd, and the city's website has some additional information on that. And that concludes our announcements this evening. Our next order of business is to adopt the final agenda. I understand we have an emergency add to the agenda this evening. Ms. Nelson, you have something to say about that, I think.
Mayor, council members, just to note, this is an emergency item. We were asked by the Lions Club late last week to have their temporary liquor license be added to this meeting's agenda, so we're asking this to be included as 6.2 for tonight's agenda item.
All right, so we will add that item as 6.2. Council, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of that item?
Motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of the Lions temporary liquor license, item 6.2.
Thank you. We have a motion. Can I get a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the open forum. This is the opportunity for anyone to address the council on an item that's not on the agenda and not in application form that will be coming to the council at a future date. We have the owners of Omni Brewing with us this evening, so who want to address us. So please approach the podium, introduce yourself, and state your business.
Hey Mayor, council members, I'm Justin Walsh, founder of Omni Brewing.
And I'm Zach Ward, other founder of Omni Brewing.
It's Ward.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. We have been working with John, I think as some of you may know, to take over the operation there, and we are going to have a on-sale intoxicating liquor license coming on the next council meeting. However, Zach and I will be out of town at a conference that day, so we wanted to come here, introduce ourselves, give you a little overview of what we're going to plan to do, and see if you had any questions. We will have someone representing us at that meeting, but we wanted to take this opportunity to introduce ourselves in person.
Very good.
I can give you guys a little bit of overview and background about us.
That would be great.
If you're not familiar. So Omni was founded in 2015. First location is in Maple Grove. So we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. Learned a lot in the early years, including some from John and his business partner, Dan Norton, business partner at that time anyway. We now have really shifted our focus on the taproom experience and creating that third space through great handcrafted beer, pizza, as well as offering coffee and cafe type services. Really, Justin and I fell in love with the early taprooms in Minnesota, including the original Enki taproom. Some of our early business planning was done there. And we've really kind of come back to our roots and tried to focus on bringing that great place where you can catch up with an old friend or meet a new one to more communities. So that's what we're coming to Victoria to do, and to expand on what John and Dan have built here. So yeah, love to answer any questions you all have.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about, so John had given me kind of a heads up that this was coming, so I'm delighted to have you guys in town. You guys come highly recommended by some friends of mine, so thank you for that. And thank you for honoring what John and Dan have built here. We love Enki Brewing. We love having a brewery in our town. It is a really great asset to us, and we love that it's going to carry on. So tell us a little bit about what's going to change, what's going to be different from what Enki looks like now.
Yeah, I think the physical space, you'll see some changes in paint colors. We will be expanding the operating hours. Like I mentioned before, we operate a cafe in our Maple Grove space, and plan to take some of those learnings and bring them here, and open at 7 a.m. for coffee and breakfast sandwiches. We have a pizza concept that we've been running at our other 2 locations for a couple of years now. We plan to slightly expand the food offering in the current space. So there'll be a coffee nook built out adjacent to the bar area there, as well as a slight expansion of the existing kitchen down there. You'll probably see an uptick in marketing and events and programming. We have heavily relied on expanding our customer base through events and promoting private event space. And great beer as always, and friendly atmosphere, but you won't see nightclub type stuff or maybe your traditional bar events, but some expansion of hours and programming.
Very good. When do you guys plan to be open?
Well, we will officially take over operations in mid-May if state approvals go as they should, and hoping to do more of a grand opening with kind of the expanded hours in July. Okay. But there's a lot of moving parts to that.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. We're delighted to have you. Council, any other questions, comments for these gentlemen?
You keeping the Yankee name, or is it going to be rebranded as Omni?
It is going to be rebranded as Omni.
We will have some Enki beers on tap for.
Okay.
That was my question. Are you going to keep some of the original Enki taps?
So we will be using some of the flagship beers for a while.
Excellent.
One other thing just that will change is our operation is changing from a brewery tap room model to a brew pub, so we will have a full on-sale license. We actually have a winery in Rosemount where we produce our own wine, so that will be available in the tap room when we start as well.
Okay, good.
Do I understand you do your own beans? Is what like the coffee is like you guys do that yourself?
Yes. So yeah, all of our coffee is roasted in Maple Grove. Yeah. And I forgot to mention that our plan is to shift the vast majority of production actually down here to the beautiful brewery that John and Dan built.
Yeah.
It's a little nicer than the one that I built.
Will you add jobs? How many additional jobs do you think you'll add with your concept?
Yeah, so like Zach mentioned, we're going to 7 days a week, opening at 7 a.m., so there's going to be a fair amount of jobs. And then also with our kind of brewery moving down here and adding our 3rd location, I would say roughly we'll probably be adding about 5 full-time jobs, and then probably a few additional part-time jobs to what's currently in place as well, just because we have more of a full all hours operating, and then moving all the production down here and expanding production. We're adding 1 brewer, 1 marketing person, and then some operations staff as well.
Wonderful. Great. Well, welcome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Welcome.
having us.
And John, thank you for laying the groundwork. We appreciate that, and I hope we'll still see you around.
We'll be around.
Very good. Good. Thanks. All right. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda or not an application form that will be coming to the council soon? All right. Seeing no one, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are routine, administrative, and do not require deliberation or are housekeeping items required by law. They're approved with one vote unless someone requests an item to be considered separately. Ms. Hardy, does staff wish to pull any items for separate discussion and vote this evening?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
Any members of the council who would like to pull an item for separate discussion and vote?
Only one thing I would like to pull.
Yep, Councilmember Pedersen.
On page 3 of the agenda packet, meeting minutes from Monday, March 10th, the consent agenda item, ayes were McMillan, Evansky, Gunderson, Reif, and Roberts, and I believe Gunderson should be changed to Pedersen.
Got it. Okay, so we want to pull that item. It's item 5.1 for separate discussion and vote. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to pull an item for separate discussion and vote? All right, clerk, if you let the record reflect, item 5.1's been pulled for further discussion. I will take a motion for the balance of the consent agenda, please.
Motion for the balance of the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to item 5.1, which was removed from the consent agenda. Councilmember Pedersen mentioned that we had a wrong name in the minutes, and we have corrected those. Ms. Hardy, do you want to speak to this item at all?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This was just a technical oversight, so it's a pretty easy fix. And Alyssa, Claudia, and I have talked, and we hope that that issue is resolved and shouldn't be something in the future kind of caught us all off guard. So we thank Councilmember Pedersen for finding that error and bringing it to our attention. So
Very good. We want to make sure Councilmember Pedersen gets credit for showing up. All right. All right. I will take a motion now for item 5.1.
Move to approve 5.1.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to our regular agenda. The first item this evening, 6.1, which is to consider resolutions approving the 2024 year-end transfers, fund balance assignments, and interfund loans. Ms. Pollack, our Finance Director, Assistant City Manager, is here this evening, and she's going to kick this item off for us.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Cities are required by law to have a balanced budget. Because the city's annual budget is adopted the year prior, it can be a bit of a challenge to get to a balanced budget in any given year without any shortages or overages on specific line items or the budget overall. So the city must take action annually to ensure a balanced budget by authorizing transfers and assigning fund balances. Additionally, staff will ask council this evening to commit fund balance for revenue stabilization in the amount of $808,406 for building permit revenues that exceeded the budgeted amount for building permit revenues. So getting into those this year's assigned fund balances, we have the community development project and studies, which is equal to $40,000. And then we also have the next three items being risk management items. So typically we have our legal fees and insurance renewals, which are unpredictable. And as our insurance renewals go from mid-year to mid-year, so June 1 through the following May. So we never know if we're going to have a rate increase. We have to assign some fund balance for that. Compensated absences would be for any staff that may leave during the year that we are not aware of, and that would be for payout of PTO, for example, and then employee insurance benefits if there was to have an employee that would change, like go from single to family, for example. Those kinds of instances can get to be pretty costly, and so we assign fund balance for those. And then we have some one-time carryovers, the playground replacement at Deer Run, That phase 2 has not been fully completed. We bought the materials, but we're not able to get that installed last year, so we're carrying over $8,000 for that. Park sign replacements, we have that project. We're also using some ARPA money for that project, so that should be getting underway this spring and summer. And then a small area plan for the west growth area, $25,000 to do that study. We had another carryover for vehicle lighting for the CSO vehicle for $5,000, and the Poppets Field scoreboard and the NATO conference. Both those items were previously passed by council, so they're just listed here as the assigned fund balance that we are going to be using to pay for those. Any questions about any specific item before I go to the next slide?
Council, any questions on this? Go ahead.
And then when we look at the transfers, the long-term street maintenance fund, staff is recommending that $1,066,677 transfer into that fund. As you know, we have quite a few of those street road projects coming up. The 5 and 11, the city is heading that project, so with funding sources not coming in until those monies are spent for the state and the federal grant portions, we feel that it's important to have some fund balance to carry us over. We could look at reducing levy transfers into that fund in subsequent years. But right now we're going to need some cash flow in order to pay for some of those initial project costs. And then again, the revenue stabilization fund that I mentioned already. The temporary interfund loan is for TIF 1-9, which is the Roars project. The $500 was for some county fees to set up the project. As you know, that has not began generating any TIF revenue yet, but we had to pay the fees. So it's pretty typical for us to do an interfund temporary loan to one fund, and then we'll reverse it back out at after the beginning of the year. And then once it starts generating revenue, then that will pay for those types of costs. And then there's 2 debt service funds that we're going to be closing. So you just are required to do that by approving a resolution in order to close the fund. So whenever we need to close a fund, it's more of a housekeeping item and formality. Any questions on any of these transfers?
Council, any questions on this?
Okay, so staff asks council to consider approving the following 3 proposed resolutions, and I have those listed there for your consideration.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Pollack. We're going to take this in 3 separate motions, but first I want to make sure council has any questions, comments, discussion from council this evening on this item. Okay. Seeing none, I will consider the first motion.
Motion to approve the fund balance assignment and transfers for year end 2024.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I will consider the next motion, please.
Motion to approve the 2024 year-end transfer to Revenue Stabilization Fund balance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And the final.
Move to approve the temporary interfund loan financial reporting.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our emergency item, item 6.2. Staff would like, who's speaking to this item? It's Ms. Nelson again.
Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. I do want to introduce you to our Lions Club member, Steve Olson, who's in the audience with us, but just some background for you. For temporary liquor license, the state manages and administers those. However, they do ask that cities go through an approval process to ensure that we accept the temporary liquor license. Really, it's a process that we do pretty regularly. However, we do usually ask for 60 days in advance. That gives us time as staff to review the application, get it prepped for the city council approval, and then the state typically asks for 30 days notice as well. Obviously, we're not quite at that, or we're a little past that deadline, so hence the reason getting this on the emergency docket, so we can get it to the state as soon as possible. And then they obviously will have it in their hands to go through the final approval process at the state level. Assuming that the council would approve this item, we already received the application from the Lions Club, and then we would be waiting on a $50 fee, which is part of your typical schedule. Okay. With that, I will pass it over to Steve.
Mr. Olson, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'm Steve Olson with the Victoria Lions Club. I live in Chanhassen. The Chanhassen Lions think the Victoria Lions poached me, but
We're just the better club.
it is. It's a growing club, and I first want to apologize to staff for making this an emergency. The gentleman that usually handled the liquor license and getting the information into the city has taken a new position. He's not with the Lions anymore, and quite frankly, this just got lost. So thank you for catching it and letting us know. Otherwise, May 4th would have come and we would have been down a rabbit hole. So our May 4th event ties right into your Victoria in Bloom event. It comes the day after, and it's truly a community event. It's not a fundraiser. We are going to hopefully sell alcohol there. We're tying it into Cinco de Mayo, so we're thinking margaritas and some kind of festivities around that theme. But we're going to have an inflatable obstacle course for the kids like we did last year. I've got 7 food trucks right now, a lot of the same ones last year. We've got an additional Mexican food truck, and they're talking to each other so that they don't step on each other's toes. And I'm also going to talk to Medbox. I hear there's some interest in maybe bringing them out as well. That would be a total of 8. We've got Hawaiian shaved ice and Westies, comfort foods, unbakeable cookie dough, and those kind of things. So we've got the llamas coming again this year. They were a big hit with the kids. They were a big hit with my neighbor. When they told me they were going to have llamas last year, I thought they were crazy, but kids love them. It's just a fun event. So that's our plan. Again, thank you for catching that, and I apologize for making it an emergency, but now that I am the activities chair on our board, I'll make sure that we keep that 60-day window for you.
Yeah. Well, you can submit those first thing, as soon as you know the dates for the year, you can submit those all at one time. And we can approve those all at once, and then we enjoy seeing you, Steve, but you don't have to come back every time. So what are the hours of that event?
We're gonna, there's a little beanbag toss tournament that the C3 Lacrosse Club is doing again this year. It's probably a little smaller. It doesn't sound like they have quite as many participants, but they're going to start that about 10.
Okay.
I've asked for the food trucks to be in place by 9 o'clock, and then at least by 11 serving. But a lot of them, we're planning on doing it, having them start serving at 10. One of the trucks has mini donuts, so it'd be a great breakfast item for the families that are attending.
Terrific. Terrific. It sounds great. And that's out at Lions Park, obviously.
Pardon?
It's out at Lions Park?
At Lions Park, yes.
Yeah, very good. All right. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments about this? All right, pretty
We
straight.
need to get the margaritas.
I know. Cinco de Mayo is nothing without a margarita. So, so seeing no further discussion, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve a temporary liquor license for the Victoria Lions Club for their event scheduled May 4th, 2025.
Thank you. We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. There are no more items on our regular agenda, so we're moving on to reports and emerging issues this evening. Attorney Vos, you're up first.
Mayor Council, as a reminder, it's a good thing when the lawyer has nothing to report, and I have nothing to report tonight. Staff's doing a great job keeping the train on the tracks, and
Perfect.
I got nothing.
All right, very good. Ms. Hardy, anything from staff?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Just real briefly, you probably noticed that we have different artwork on our walls. So this is our partnership with Deb Zeller from Zeller Studios. Deb is a Victoria resident and owns the Zeller Art Studio in Hopkins. So all of our artwork rotates every other month. And this is the newest. It's called Snowfolk. So most of them are melting, so maybe spring is here. Feels a little blustery outside today. But we invite everybody to come in and look at the artwork when we're open. Of course, the artwork is also available for purchase. And we're excited for this exhibit.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Hardy. All right, anything from staff for reports this evening? All right, there are no more items to come before this body this evening, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
And we have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.